Mental health has become an often underlooked casualty of these turbulent times. Reports of anxiety and depression among U.S. adults have spiked nearly threefold since the coronavirus pandemic lockdowns began. And amid the chaos, more and more people have been playing video games while cooped up indoors.
Goodbye, Father.
The industry is estimated to have brought in revenue of almost $180 billion over 2020, making it gaming's biggest year ever. But games aren't just idle amusements. Many players find that their sense of control and freedom, even in the darkest days of the pandemic, make video games a helpful tool in keeping up their mental health. Mental health has been a fraught subject for video games in the past.
Exposure to violent video games is also bad for children.
These games teach a child to enjoy inflicting torture.
An addiction to video games, like many things, isn't healthy and has even been codified as a disorder by the World Health Organization. But after decades of contested research, there's still a lot of unanswered questions about how video games actually affect human behavior. And as the hobby grows larger and encompasses more people, researchers and creators alike have shifted their focus to explore how games can actually benefit the people playing them.
So I think it's best when we have these discussions about games to come from a space of curiosity and come from a space of looking at them as just one of the tools in our toolbox and not this horrible thing that's ruining the children,
Dr. Rachel Cowart is the research director of Take This, a nonprofit group which examines video games from a mental health perspective.
There's a theory called SelfDetermination Theory that says games satisfy our basic psychological needs, which are the sense to feel competent, the sense to feel autonomous, and the sense to feel related to other people.
Meeting those needs can be tricky in real life, especially during a global pandemic. But games can offer the same types of rewards for much less effort.
Oh, hey, I didn't even know you were home.
It's much easier to achieve your goals and socialize with your friends in popular pandemic staple Animal Crossing New Horizons than it is in the real world right now.
And those are basic psychological motivations that we all have, that we all need. So in that sense, I think that well-designed games that will tick all three of those boxes, that's really where they're serving us right now.
Any well-crafted game played in moderation can help fulfill these psychological drives, even though most games aren't designed around mental wellness. But there are a handful of games that are starting to examine mental health concerns through the lens of gameplay. Certain games try and explore different mental states through their mechanics. Exploration game Spiritfarer meditates on death and grief by having the player build customized houses for their companions. The buildings you construct remain behind after those characters pass on, constant reminders of both their life and their death. And frenetic platformer Celeste also focuses heavily on grappling with anxiety and depression. At certain points in the story, the game forces its players to slow down and meditate on keeping a gently floating feather aloft, simulating the main character's efforts to calm herself in the midst of an anxiety attack. These mechanics can grant players who aren't suffering from these conditions a sense of empathy and understanding of how those conditions function. They can also create a sense of empowerment with players who do see themselves reflected in the game's challenges. They demonstrate how video games can talk about mental health through their gameplay alone. Other games opt for a more direct approach when talking about mental health. Eliza is a 2019 game about a therapy robot that works through human proxies. The game's writer, Matthew Seiji Burns, says video games offered him a range of storytelling tools that other media lack.
We can explore things from lots of different angles and really create entire worlds with the things that we can do in games today.
Unlike a lot of other games that tackle similar themes, Eliza doesn't give the player much control. Your character mostly just sticks to the computerized script, even when it's clearly not helping.
No. Look, I'm done with this. Like, I shouldn't even have come. This is making me worse. Why can't you just talk to me as you?
It's easy to read Eliza as a critique of some of the downsides video games and technology face as wellness aids. Without a truly empathic human connection, it's tough for any piece of tech to stand in for an actual therapeutic counseling or assistance. But Eliza isn't all doom and gloom about tech's role in mental health.
I'd rather do something that can help people here and now, even if it ends up being a small step.
Burns says the game is an indication of how the tech world should approach the issue. Optimistic, but with a clear view of its limitations.
It's a very real hope that these kinds of things can help. and that sometimes just talking to someone really does help you get through your day. And as long as that tool is respectful of you as a person and doesn't, just harvest your data, then I think it can be a very positive thing.